All I'm saying is August 2nd is looking awfully suspicious if you're a clown of any sort. So all of this started on February 9th, Tokyo Night 3. Taylor went to the surprise song set and she sat down on the piano and she said, I wrote the song when I was 12, which is 175 years ago. And we know if Taylor says a random number like that, it's kind of important sometimes, especially when said number adds up to 13. 1 plus 7 plus 5 equals 13. Taylor has a history of doing that kind of stuff in the past. I'm going to add the clip in here for you. So when you're watching her, watch her face. She definitely smirks and looks up. We know Taylor smirks. They're always suspicious. But right after this, she's singing the song The Outside from debut. Keep that in mind.
This one I was 12 years old. So this is the song is 175 years old.
The Tokyo shows were the weekend immediately following the Grammys, so this was the first weekend of shows when we had even learned that the Torture Poets department existed. So we know the Torture Poets department was coming out on April 19th. So when I heard her say 175 that night, it immediately stuck out because I had just figured out that between the 1989 Taylor's version release and April 19th, the Torture Poets department release, it was 175 days. So why is 175 coming up twice now? The very next night, Taylor played a track 17 and a track 5 during her surprise song. So again, I feel like she's telling us 175 is probably important. So like any good clown, I went to Google and asked what was 175 days before February 9th? And it happened to be August 18th. And that doesn't seem that special, except when you remember that August 18th is the exact date Taylor wiped out her Instagram ahead of the Reputation era. That's interesting, but just for good measure, let me just look up what would be 175 days ahead of February 9th. August 2nd, or should I say 8-2? You know, 8-2. Well then 3 days later on February 12th, Taylor Nation tweeted that it was Love Story Taylor's version's 3rd year birthday. We don't really celebrate singular songs' birthdays, even like album birthdays that much. So I thought it was kind of interesting, especially when they pointed out that it's been 105 songs that have joined her outside of the vault. This stuck out to me for 2 reasons, because we have 105, which is kind of a random number, and then they said joined her outside the vault. That is an interesting choice of words, considering that the song she played right after she said that I wrote this when I was 12, which is 175 years ago, was The Outside from debut. So then I looked up, okay, I gotta make this 105 work somehow. Just so happens to be that 105 days after she releases the Torture Poets department, it's gonna be August 2nd. The math is mathing. So now we have a few things pointing to August 2nd, which I think is interesting, but we're still talking about the 112-day theory at this time because February 16th was a date that lined up with that. So a lot of us were still clowning for something to happen on February 16th. Nothing happened, but then on February 17th, Taylor did something interesting during her surprise song set, which confirmed this one for me. She sang a mashup of 3 songs, and this is the first time we ever got a mashup with a song that was already on the set list, so that really stuck out to me. She sang Getaway Car, mashed up with August, mashed up with the outro of The Other Side of the Door. Getaway Car is from the Reputation album. August, are we talking about August? The Other Side of the Door is from Fearless, which is the 2nd album, so Reputation August 2nd, perhaps? I will say Getaway Car is also really interesting when you look at the video I posted right before this. So at this time, August 2nd was really important to me, and I made a video about it on February 17th talking about how I think it could be the date, but, you know, Torture Poets department was coming, so let's put it on the back burner. So we've had the Torture Poets department for a while, and like 2 weeks ago, Taylor posted 3 voice memos on her stories. We got Who's Afraid of Little Old Me, Cassandra, and The Black Dog. It was in this specific order, and I wouldn't clown for it normally if she would have put it in the correct order. Like, the track numbers are 10, 27, and 17. If she would have done 10, 17, 27, I wouldn't have worried about it. But 10, 27, 17 happens to be the day the Ready For It music video was released. So, kind of screamed like a Reputation Easter egg to me. Especially because these 3 specific songs give me the most Reputation vibes of the whole Torture Poets department album. We have Who's Afraid of Little Old Me, which sonically sounds like it could fit onto Reputation. Also the stage visuals, very spooky, very Reputation-esque. And then we have Cassandra, Filled My Cell with Snakes, and then The Black Dog, Black album. Also 10/27 happens to be the same day that 1989 Taylor's version was released, except for this happened 6 years in advance. So that little thing I said about like 175 days before February 9th was 10/27. It matches for this too. So now I think the math is mathing, but also I have confirmation bias. But Nikki knows my theory, and she was listening to the Betty speech on May 24th, and Taylor happened to say something interesting that caught her eye, and she texted me about it. Taylor said, I was a lonely millennial woman watching like 70 hours of TV. Taylor has said that kind of like line before, but she usually says something like 600 hours of TV or 300 hours of TV, a really big exaggerated number. So 70 was kind of interesting. Do you know why it's interesting? Because it just so happens that 70 days after she said that is August 2nd. This is just my running theory right now. I know a lot of creators have a bunch of different theories. I know there's some for like a countdown, like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 being all dates for something. Also, I've seen some for like the Torture Poets Department logo being upside down for Kale, meaning reputation in Gaelic, and I think that's like a June announcement. All I know is for the past few re-records, Taylor has done 2 months in between them. Like we got May to July for Speak Now, and then August to October for 1989. So a June announcement for an August release makes sense. Personally, the math is still mathing, so I'm going to keep my clown makeup on. Specifically, I think we could be getting a June 13th announcement in Liverpool for a August 2nd release. She's in Warsaw, Poland that day. August 2nd could also be the announcement date, but I really think it could be the release date. I know there's some people saying maybe September 13th, so maybe it could be August 2nd announcement for a September 13th release. There's a lot of dates to clown for, but I think we're definitely in reputation clowning season, so what do you think?